Hi, I'm Damien, author of Oxford's Finest, and this week I'll be discussing stamp duty. So the British are infatuated with owning their own property, and politicians know that. Margaret Thatcher used it as a vote winner in 1979 when she allowed council house tenants to buy their own home. Coming to the present day, Boris Johnson's Conservative government have anxieties that the Brits have not been buying nearly enough homes lately. And as with all countries in the world, the British property market was put on ice for several months to help. Announced on Wednesday plans to boost the property market by momentarily scrapping stamp duty when they buy a property that costs less than £500,000. Interestingly, stamp duty was originally introduced in 1694 as a way to raise funds for the 9 Years' War against Louis XIV of France, and applied to property and some legal documents. Why is this important? Well, the government recognised that when the property market is working well, the economy also tends to work well. Yet one of the barriers to people moving home is stamp duty. Even before coronavirus, Brits were moving 40% less than they were at the start of the millennium. And now with this dreadful situation, the natural reaction is for people to stay put in their own homes, meaning another potential nail in the coffin of the economy. Stamp duty has raised an insignificant $166 billion since 1998. Impressive when you consider the NHS costs $129 billion per year. Looking at more recent figures, the government currently raise £1 billion per month from stamp duty alone, and this statement will remove a good chunk of that from the Chancellor's coffers each month. Yet the government knows a healthy property market will help the wider economy. As stamp duty is a transaction tax, it restricts labour market mobility, making people who are thinking of switching jobs think twice before moving. Stamp duty also holds back elderly homeowners from downsizing to smaller homes, which is an issue for the UK, as we don't have enough homes to meet supply, and also curtails first-time buyers as it forces them to use some of the savings on the tax as opposed to using it for a deposit. So before the changes, the stamp duty thresholds were as follows: 0% up to $125,000, 2% of the next $125,000, 5% of the next $675,000, 10% of the next $575,000, and 12% of the remaining amount. And between the 8th of July 2020 and 31st of March 2021, 0% up to $500,000, 5% of the next $425,000, 10% of the next $575,000, and 12% of the remaining amount. Landlords and buy-to-let landlords will also benefit from these reduced rates, yet will still have to pay their additional premium for second homes. To give you an idea of how significant this is, if these rules had been in place exactly a year ago in Oxford, the properties purchased under £500,000 between 8th of July and 31st of March 2020, stamp duty would not have been paid on 725 Oxford properties, worth in total £254 million. Anyone buying any home in Oxford over £500,000 are also winners in this, as they will have the saving of £15,000 in stamp duty. This is because during these 9 months, stamp duty is only paid on the difference over £500,000. So if you buy a property for say $620,000, one only pays the stamp duty on the difference between $620,000 and $500,000, £120,000. I am all for reducing stamp duty, which is imposed progressively at higher rates the higher a property costs. Yet short-lived changes to property taxation risk warping the property market and generating a property market hangover in spring 2021. I am part of a group of 2,500 estate and letting agents from the UK, and most of us were running at 150% speed before this announcement, coping with the post-coronavirus explosion in demand. Now it seems that the feast will continue until the end of March 2021, as many more people will move to take advantage of the cut in tax. However, some are suggesting this could lead to famine down the line, as it will stop people moving into the late spring and summer of 2021. history tells us different stories on the influence on transaction volumes from changing stamp duty rates. In 1991, the Tories raised the stamp duty threshold at which house buyers started. And Gordon Brown did so in 2008, when we went into the credit crunch. More recently, both George Osborne and Philip Hammond fine-tuned stamp duty so that landlords had to pay an additional stamp duty premium after March 2016, while first-time buyers paid less stamp duty than the purchase of more expensive homes over $1.5 million pay more. The stamp duty changes for landlords in 2016 affected the property market only for a short while, and by the autumn, transaction levels had returned to normal. However, in 1991, John Major's stamp duty change encouraged home buyers to bring forward the home purchases, but nevertheless, the property market ground to a standstill again once the benefit ended. So how much money will Oxford people save when buying a home under $500,000? The average stamp duty paid by those Oxford home buyers in the 9 months between 8th of July 2019 and 31st of March 2020 was £7,523. Being objective, I can see why the Chancellor could see this as a suitable way to motivate spending, because when people move home, they are more inclined to spend comprehensively on property renovations and the services of solicitors, home removal people, tradesmen and estate agents. So drastically reducing the stamp duty will undoubtedly help the UK economy, or at least contain some of the damage from the coronavirus. Also, the experience of being in lockdown will have confirmed to many Oxford people that they need a bigger home, or one with a bigger garden. I also suspect other people may be able to work from home on a more long-term basis, meaning there could be a shift from the larger cities to outlying towns, and even a move to the countryside. So these are my thoughts. What are yours? Please do let me know. This is Damien Merry, author of Oxford's Finest. Take care.